Hello, welcome to my goal setting day. I am taking some time to think about my financial goals that I would like to achieve over the next 5-ish years. Now that I am officially net worth positive, which happened for me last month, which is kind of a big deal for me given where I started with my finances. That was in 2018 when things were really at their worst. And now, about 5.5, 6 years later, hitting a net worth positive just seems like such a big deal. When I started taking my finances seriously, it was just never something that I thought was ever going to be on the table for me. I only started tracking my net worth a couple years ago when I was finally saying to myself, you know what, it might actually happen. I could actually get to the positive. Maybe I should start looking at this. My ultimate goal with starting getting my finances in order was to just get away from living paycheck to paycheck and actually start making progress on my debt, which at that time was a lot of consumer debt and a car loan and a ton of student loans that I've spent the last 6-ish years now scraping my way out of, and for the first time setting myself up with an emergency fund and sinking funds. And so I've achieved a lot of my financial goals, but I also have not even come close to some of them, like being debt free. I still have $178,209 of student loan debt, which means I have made insane progress in that I've been able to financially offset the large amount of debt that I have with saving and investing, and that's so cool. And today feels like the perfect time to do that because it's actually what we call here in the States Black Friday. It follows our national holiday of Thanksgiving, which in itself is actually a really sad, dark period in history, and I'm not sure why we celebrate it, but we also get the next day, which is today, off, and it has somehow warped into this national shopping holiday, basically. And as if that wasn't enough, on Monday, it's like Cyber Monday where we celebrate online shopping. It's not my jam. In an effort to avoid being trampled, because that's actually a thing, I am avoiding all stores and instead just have a good think about what I want my financial future to look like. I've been wanting to reread my favorite financial book lately, I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. You guys know I preach this book all the time. It was such a great starting point in 2018 when I finally landed a high-paying job and was able to put disposable income towards my debt and investing. And I just wanted something that could guide me on the most sensible way to go about doing those two things, because I didn't know where to start, if I should go hard on focusing on one or the other, how should I handle both. So this book was instrumental in that. I was flipping back through it a couple months ago, and I have some of my old notes in there from previous years, 2021 in particular. The first thing on there is pay off federal student loan interest of $7,672. You guys know I did that in August, right before student loan interest kicked back in September. I had an emergency fund goal of $10,000, and you guys know my emergency fund is at almost $32,000 right now, which if things came down to it, that's 12 months of basic living expenses for me, which has brought such an insane amount of peace and comfort to my mental space. But I also had my sinking funds of car, vet, and medical expenses, car maintenance expenses, and I've maxed both of those two out this year, as well as adding a sinking fund for annual expenses and one for fun. So it's just insane to really look back just a couple years ago and see how much I have blown some of these goals out of the water, which makes me so proud of myself. And now when I got my high-paying job, I told myself, do it for 5 years. In 5 years, you could possibly be able to completely eliminate all of your student loan debt. Now, I'm nowhere close to that, but I did make a good dent, and I completely wiped away all other debt and have a really strong financial foundation. So I'm incredibly happy with where I am, even though I'm not debt free. And I know right now is kind of an odd time of year to be assessing financial goals, because normally people do it, at the close of a year. They think about, okay, what do I want to do for the coming year? And I'm still going to do that. But hitting net worth positive, just something 5 years ago felt so insanely unattainable. It feels like a perfect time to think about maybe the next 5 years. So I'm going to go brainstorm on really what I want to achieve over the next 5 years. And there's certainly going to be things that I want to achieve within the next year, within the next 2 to 3 years, and then 5 years out. So I'm going to go kind of think about those things. I'm going to take my notebook and just noodle on what I really want that to look like. The first thing I really want to focus on for the upcoming year is buying a house hack. I know that's no surprise. I've been talking about it for a while. It's been a priority for a while, but I've also been using the housing market as kind of an excuse to be lazy about it. I've been lazy about reaching out to find an agent to help me, and that's kind of dumb. That would help immensely. Reducing my monthly housing expenses is what's going to be the biggest needle moving thing I can do right now. The second thing I want to try to achieve in the next year or two is to get my income over 80,000. Right now I'm at 73, so I don't think that's too crazy of a goal, but it's something my supervisor said the other day got me thinking about it. I was telling him about how I'm pretty excited. I keep getting picked to be put on these large offshore wind projects at work, and it's just cool because I have a really interesting skill set, I guess, that lends itself to that kind of thing. I think I can use that as kind of a leverage point to negotiate a salary increase when the time comes. And my supervisor pointed out it also looks good on my external resume as well. So he's a little bit older than me, and he just started a few months ago, but I love him so much. He's such an advocate for his people, and I love that. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was on team job hopping to get a good salary increase. So, statistics show that that's kind of the way to go. So I'm going to be keeping my eye open for that as well. But it's at least work that aligns with my skill set, and so I might as well leverage it. And hopefully I can use that to get a pretty good salary increase. And certainly that's something that would move the needle for me financially as well. A few hours later, we're finally back at the car. It is chilly out there. Okay, third thing, and this goal I'm thinking over the next few years, so like 3 to 5 years, it is to have multiple house hacks, and ideally I would say 3 to 4, but I would still be okay if it were just 2, as in like 2 different house hack properties. I've gone through the house hack process twice. If I can do that in a way that the numbers make sense, which is made tricky by the current state of the housing market, but not impossible. And if I do it in a way that the properties are okay, but there are value add opportunities, and I'm able to do that and therefore increase the property's marketable rents, then the fewer properties I'm going to need to get to a point where my monthly income from the properties is covering all of my monthly expenses, not just my housing, which of course would mean that I would be financially independent. And so by having passive income that covers all of my monthly expenses, that of course drastically increases the amount of money I have freed up every month to contribute to investing and putting back into real estate and expediting the process even further. And that's just going to pick up slowly over time, because even on one property, reducing my monthly housing expense by a little bit frees up a little bit of money in the short term. And so that'll just slowly increase as time goes forward. Okay, so the fourth goal, and this is the last goal I could really come up with, and 4 feels just fine. But this last one, of course, is the longest term. I'm thinking hopefully 5 years. I would like to be retired. I feel like I can't even say that without feeling a little cringy about it, which makes me not talk about it very often, particularly to people in person, because it's almost the same response every single time. It's always, oh, okay. But in your head, they're thinking, oh no, you're just another one of those people that wants to be lazy and not work anymore. No, that's not why. What I really want is time freedom. I want my time back to do things that I really, really, really want to do. Like homesteading, for example. Homesteading takes a lot of time and work and effort every single day. And to have the time to be able to do that would mean so much to me. And the goal of homesteading or being more self-sufficient in general is just to reduce my reliance on an economic system that I don't necessarily agree with anyway. I understand that other people's opinions of my goals and what I want out of my life have no bearing on my life. So it doesn't matter if someone thinks that my goals are lazy or cringy or stupid or whatever. That's more of a them problem and not so much a me problem. Also, there's a big misconception around financial independence, and a lot of people, and myself included, I used to hold this belief, but a lot of people feel like you have to be debt free as well, or they kind of have to go hand in hand. And I know I'm not going to be debt free in 5 years. I know. I still believe I can achieve financial independence and be able to comfortably either cut way back and go to part time W 2 work or be able to walk away entirely. I can still do that while having student loan debt. And so these are really my big four overarching goals that I would like to see play out over the next 5 years. Overall, that's the big picture of at least a direction to get started with right now and something to aim towards, because really, if time freedom is always the guiding North Star in my whole financial journey, that's really what's important. So thank you guys so much for watching. I would love to hear what your financial goals are for the year to come, or even what's your 3 to 5 year game plan. Let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear about it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.